What's going on, guys? Just wanted to step in here real quick, do a little pit stop. I'm showing you right here. I'm sitting on the front porch. The sky, obviously, and no, those aren't real clouds. Those are actually what they call is chemical trails. Aluminum, barium, and there's another element in there that we breathe in. And we obviously don't see with the naked eye, but breathe in, that has a compounding effect on our lungs, our brain, most importantly our heart. But I want to stop in here real quick and let you guys know. So I'm stepping up my game, right? Because life is all about growth. So I invested in another part of this podcast for the production part. And hopefully you guys are doing well. I know it's, I guess, dinner time for most of you, especially if you work a job, just getting off and everything. But if you tune into this, thank you for tuning in. But yeah, upping my game in the production part, that's not my strongest quality. That's why you got to have another set of eyes and ears. So I had to get my helpmate, who kind of looked over my podcast and gave me an idea. So I just purchased that. And so, if I want you guys to, when I do this podcast, that are based upon teaching and educational purposes, I want to make sure that you guys aren't sidetracked by low production quality. So, that's on me. But anyway, two of my production assistants are very busy, and one's off to college. The other one is extremely busy with college slash high school too. So anyway, I'm excited about that. So when you actually look at the channel, you can actually really focus on learning the concept. So here's why I stepped in here. So time, as you guys know, is the most important commodity, right? It's an unseen commodity, okay? And it's a commodity that was taken out of the unseen, taken out of the spiritual realm, and put in the natural realm. Are you listening to me? Okay. So time, what does time actually mean? Is it just, like I said before yesterday, I just, oh man, I hate hearing people say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just killing time. And when I hear that, that's letting me know that that person has no purpose. And that's, again, one of the most important things you got to have. Purpose means why. And obviously, you go back to those 5 important questions that every human being must know. See, how can I put this? You know, people aren't guaranteed tomorrow, let alone next week, next year. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people the day before, the week before, the month before, you know, 2 months before, 6 months before, and it was like, I'll see them next time, and have some level of connection with them, right? And next time I talk to them, or not talk to them, but try to get in touch with them, I find out through the grapevine, I find out some other way that they've passed, right? And you know what I always think about? I always think about, man, you know what? That last interaction that I had with that person, did I impart into that person how meaningful that they are to their sphere of influence, and how meaningful that they are to humanity just in the grand scope of things, right? The macro standpoint. And so I'm just doing this quick, stepping in here real quick just to kind of let you know that you got to have purpose. Because listen, if you don't have purpose, you and I know, I've been there before, where time just gets away, right? There's those hours, those days, those weeks, those months, man, they just start, it seems like they get out of control, and before you know it, you blink, a whole year's passed, and you're like, and you look back, it's like, what the heck did I just do? Like, where did that time go? You know? And I know you can relate to me. And the older you are, it seems like the faster time moves, right? So time was put in place by the Creator, by the King, right, to let us know that we each individually have, yes, we have a purpose. Yes, we have talents and abilities. No, they're not meant to be used exclusively for us and just for our family. They're meant to be a solution to a problem, right? For our generation, each and every one of us. So, he put us in time to let us know that we're important, but there's a task that needs to be filled by each and every one of us, right? I wish the sense of urgency was put inside me, um, by my parents and, grandparents, aunts, uncles, people that I surrounded myself with. I wish I had a sense of urgency, because I tell you, I've wasted a lot of time playing video games, wasted a lot of time doing stupid stuff, wasted a lot of time watching sports, TV. And listen, I like sports. I played sports before, but, you know, I've never heard of anybody on their deathbed. I never heard anybody um, say that, you know what, man, I wish I had watched more of that football game. I wish I had watched more of such and such. What do they say? They say, man, you know what? Um, well, obviously they would have passed already, but I'm pretty sure they would have said, or at least on their deathbed, I wish I had done this. I wish I had said this. I wish I had done that. And we have a taste of that, right? Especially when several years have passed by in our life, and we look back and it's like, man, I woulda, coulda, wisha, but didn't, right? And so that number one thing is kind of like Pac-Man. I think everybody listening to this and watching me has, at one point in time in their life in the past, played Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. The whole goal is to eat up the power pellets, get the highest score you can in the process, eat up the ghosts, after eating the power pellets. And, that right there, that's how time is being eaten up. So how do you harness time? I'm sure I've said this before. You have to harness time by learning why you're here. Those 5 difficult questions, and these are questions that people that we even see on TV, we've elected before, we've admire, in every industry, every genre, who to some degree, understand that. But guess what? I'm a big fan of certain people, whether it be an actor. I may not like some of the things that they believe in, but I like them as that particular, the roles that they play, and so on and so forth, whether it be sports, a certain sport and everything like that. But it helps me to understand that, what, they're doing maybe what they're supposed to do, maybe not what they're supposed to do with their life. I don't particularly know, especially if it's unjust, right? If it's unrighteous. But they're doing what they're doing by me watching them. The people that I'm supposed to affect positively, there's, I'm burning up my time. You see what I'm saying? So I would challenge you, what I'm saying? I have to, this is like not a daily thing. Well, yeah, I would say it's a daily thing, but it's also a weekly thing. I have to look back and say, all right, how much time did I spend here? How much time did I spend there? Even with your phone, you can actually tell, how much time did I spend on my phone, commenting on this, commenting on that, and is this really going to make a significant impact? Some of it may, some of it may not, but where are you going to be the most productive at? Because I promise you, 100%, and you can talk to your parents, your grandparents, if your great-grandparents are still in the flesh, they'll tell you probably the number one thing that they have is not so much of what they did do, right? Well, I did that and I made a mistake here. I did that, I sinned. You know what I'm saying? I rebelled. I committed anarchy against the king. When I say king, if you've been on this podcast before, you know what I mean. If you haven't, king in the Hebrew means Christ. It means anointed king, the creator, the manufacturer, right? So You know, with that being said, you gotta take time out, not for me, for you. Don't do it for me. Do it for you. I'm just trying to implore you. I'm trying to implore means to beg. You know what I'm saying? Please, because I have clarity. Right now, I don't know all the details of what I'm supposed to do, but I got the picture. I know exactly, for me, what I'm supposed to do while I'm in this flesh for the amount of time that I'm supposed to be here. And I'm telling you, that gives you that gives you so much confidence, right? So when I hit speed bumps in life, right? We all hit speed bumps. We all hit the valleys in life. You know, we're going through some things. You know, um, you know, sometimes the kids are acting crazy. Sometimes the spouse is, weird. Sometimes the spouse. Sometimes you're like myself. Like you feel like you're off. Because we're constantly being pulled in three different directions: spirit, soul, and body, right? And there's nothing like knowing those five important questions: who am I? My identity. Why am I here? My purpose. Where am I from? I came out of the king, right? He pulled me out of him and put me in a specific time frame, through a specific lineage, through a specific lineage of family, and that he equipped me with talents, abilities, and a vision. And boom, as soon as that conception happens, well, that's before the starting line. But when you actually come out your mother's womb, bam, that's when the gun sounds, right? That's when the race starts. That's when time starts, right? Because you're still developing inside your mother's womb, right? So you guys get what I'm saying. So again, time is the most important commodity, right? And I challenge you guys to look around. Like, how much time are you spending watching TV, right? How much time are you spending watching movies? How much time are you, assess that, right? Okay, assess that. So you're worth it. I know you've been told that you're not worth it. I know you've been told that, it's been ingrained in you subliminally through media, through all kinds of things. Maybe people have been telling you that, and for decades, right? But I'm here to tell you that you do have worth, that you do count, you are invaluable, right? You do have at least one gift inside of you. And if you've wasted time all the way up until now, and you need somebody to give you permission, you shouldn't, but I'm giving you permission to win, and win big, and don't care what anybody else's think. See, that's the thing. That's one of the things that the enemy uses against us, is that we need somebody else's approval, or we care about what our neighbors think. We care about what this person thinks. Like, who cares? Like, think about it like this. Okay, this is kind of like a negative example, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I believe overall most people are moral, honest people. They want to do the right thing, right? Even though they say most people lie, right, to some degree, right? And the most important person that we lie is the person to ourselves, right? So here's what I would say. Shoot, I got a call and I lost my train of thought. Okay. So here's what I was going to say. There's evil people out here, schizophrenic, bipolar, twisted. That's what the word wicked means. It means twisted, like a wicker chair, right? Some of you may be sitting right now watching me in a wicker chair. That actually is wicked. Actually, is not a religious word. It's actually a government word. It's a law-based word. It means to twist. So if a king says, "Thou shalt not eat," thou shalt, honor thy father and thy mother. It didn't say love. Like, they might have done some things to you growing up, right? And yes, you are supposed to love people. Please don't take that at context. Yes, but let's put it like this: honor involves loving your parents, no matter what happened to them, right? You're honoring, because if it wasn't for one of them, you wouldn't be here, right? If it wasn't for my mom or dad, and them meeting when they were supposed to meet, and obviously getting excited when they got excited, then I wouldn't be here, right? And then, obviously choosing to help bring me into existence, right? You get what I'm trying to say? So the Lord, think of it like this. The King Christ is the creator. He's the manufacturer of every product. Mankind is a product, right? We've already established that. By definition, we are actually a product. I actually looked that up, and it says that mankind is a product, the species of mankind. When you have your water, when you turn your water on, right, where does that water come from, right? So that water comes from the plant, right? Okay, the municipality, right? Okay, so they have to build an infrastructure to use that natural resource that we know man didn't create. We didn't create water, right? We know the creator put water here, right, on this planet for us, because we know that our bodies needs water, right? Over 100 trillion cells. I mean, that's just biology 101. It's so easy. Little kid can understand that, right? So in order for that water to get to our house, right, a piping system, infrastructure, right, a foundation of an infrastructure has to be piped to our house, correct? And then we have to obviously have an account in our name, right, or somebody else's name or something like that, right? But in order for that water to be turned on, we have to turn the knob. Okay, so look at it like this. Look at it like the municipality. The water municipality is like God, and essentially he put one of us, all of us, here for a reason. Okay, and the pipe, right, the water comes from him, right, and then the pipe is what, like our parents, right, and then the water is turned on, right? So kind of look at it like that, okay? I don't know if that's the best example, but that's the best example I can come up with right there, right? So anyway, let me get out of here. I've been on here a little bit too long, but I just want to stop in and just drop some of that to you guys. So I'm looking forward to coming back on to next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I've been contemplating kind of switching over to IG, but for now I'm going to stay on YouTube and everything. Thank you guys again for subscribing. If you've been following me, I'm sure this content has been helpful. I'm learning myself as I'm talking, as I'm teaching. It's just a pleasure to help breathe fresh air into people, because I know you guys believe me when I say this. 2 people today I talked to, one in business, I think 2 in business. Well, anyway, 2 people that I'm associated with, right? One in business, and I think it was just somebody that I know. And I was texting with, and they basically said the same thing. They said, man, we're in a crazy world. And I'm going to tell you, it is, right? And hopefully you're following me and going through and applying some of using the knowledge that I'm giving you and applying some principles, right? Even though you may not understand it, as you're doing it, a lot of times you start to understand the concept, okay, of what I'm telling you and why you're here. Because the reason why a lot of you guys are still following me is because if you're not, if the other people, outside of you guys who are really trying to get something out of it, I'm not talking about those type of people, right? Who aren't here for nefarious purposes and trying to hear what I need to say, hear what I'm saying, and trying to police and everything like that, because obviously there's a lot of people who don't want you to understand this and know who you truly are. But what ideas bring is they bring freedom, right? Ideas bring knowledge, which means light, and that light brings freedom, okay? And so when you get free, when that stronghold is broken down, when you hear the truth over and over and over again, see, I'm bringing you truth. I didn't create truth. Truth came from the truth maker, which is the King, right? Manufacturer, Christ, okay? And as you guys already know, I told you already, the Bible is not a religious book. It's not about a religion. And as I did say before, over and over again, I'll tell you this, it's not about Christianity. It's not about any other religion, right? And the number one reason why Christianity is a religion, now don't get me wrong, number one, you have to understand what a religion is. And I've already said that over and over and over again, right? You can look it up yourself. But the number one reason why Christianity is a religion, and I'm not afraid to tell anybody that on the planet, is this. Is because Jesus, see, most Christians preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, but that's not the gospel that Jesus Christ preached. He literally said in Genesis, over, see, dominion is a kingdom word. In Isaiah 9, 6, and 7, he even talks about government. In Matthew 4:17, his first address, the king coming into the flesh, Jesus, right? He had to come through the womb, as I said before, and he announced to the public, the first word he said to the public, God in the flesh. Think about that, what I just said. Repent. That means to change your thinking, right? It doesn't mean to run to the front of the church or tell everybody what you did wrong. We all be here forever, right? He already knows that. He's trying to get us to understand what he said and try to get us back thinking ideology-wise before the fall, right? And that's the hardest thing for all of us, including myself, is to be reprogrammed, right? Reprogrammed. Re means again, right? So he's telling us, hey, this is what you lost. This is what I expanded at the beginning before the fall, before sickness, disease, poverty, lack, you name it, schizophrenia, all the sickness, all diseases, evil, wickedness, sex trafficking, drug running, gang violence, all the things that you're probably watching TV today on and movies on. He's trying to say it wasn't like this at the beginning. And that's what I'm trying to convey. And that's why I do what I do, to try to get you guys to understand that this was already inside of you already, and you know what I'm talking about when you hear truth. Okay, so I'm done. Let me get up out of here. You guys have a great week. I don't want to say too much and divulge too much, because when I was learning and getting reprogrammed, when people were telling me certain things like I've learned right here, it was very overwhelming for me. All right, it took me time to assimilate it, and kind of, along with all my other bad programming, this new programming came in, and it took me time. Okay, so even with my lightning fast mind, so which I know you guys have also too, but some people learn differently, and some people it takes a little bit longer than others. So I'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Please let your friends, family know, somebody sitting at the bus stop, and check this guy out, because you never know by doing that, guys. Listen to me. You never know what that person is going to. One of my clients literally committed suicide. And I had just got through talking with him 3 weeks ago. I had known him for at least 6, 7, 8 months. Helped him, his business out, and so on and so forth, in my community, developing a relationship, was just getting to know him and developing those heartstrings with him. And I had no idea, what I'm saying, that was going through, what he was going through internally, right? And he was probably a little bit older than I was. I had wife, kids, and everything like that. And man, I still think about that, right? I think about, man, that maybe I could have said something a little bit more, maybe not. And I'm not beating myself up, but I just tend to do that. We all tend to do stuff like that. Could I have said something, to maybe change that? You know what I'm saying? And that's just something that I have to deal with myself. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys have a great night. And please, please, please don't take time for granted, because I'm telling you, as I said before, and I'll start getting into detail with a lot of this. See, I got to be very careful on how I word certain things because of the AI, right? And I really have to kind of be careful, right? Because they'll cut it off, or they'll take it out, or they'll be slow. There's a myriad of things you can do with this artificial intelligence. And let me just put it like this. That shot that was given to a lot of you who took that shot, bless the Lord, thank you that you're still in the flesh, but don't take any more. Do some research on that, on shots, jabs. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say the V word, because they may, try to, limit that or whatever. But please do that, because when you find out the foundation, see, this is what I'm talking about, the foundation of everything, and then you'll find out, wait a minute, this is not about, giving health. And by the way, if that was the case, look in Genesis. Did we have to line up in the Garden of Eden to take shots or jabs? Or did the Creator create us perfectly, and does our body want to heal? Well, of course. There is no profit in a healthy human, right? So if it's not a profit and healthy human, you can't patent that. So in order to do that, mankind has to fool around with stuff they're not supposed to fool around with. And guess what? A lot of that stuff, pharmaceutical stuff, it's petroleum, right? It's oil, right? It's just made in the laboratory. So why do you think people have these symptoms? Listen to the line of the symptoms on those commercials that come on 50,000 times a day on almost all the channels. Listen to the side effects at the end and ask yourself. Now, you may be in the midst of something and you may need that. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that the Lord put out there, and there's a lot of laws that he put out there in this body, in the Constitution, in the Kingdom Constitution called the Bible, hygiene stuff about the body, and we're doing it. And guess what we're doing? We're violating his body, right? We're violating the laws that he put in his body, and so by doing so, our body breaks down, okay, which means our brain breaks down, right? Everything. Let me tell you this, and I'm getting out of here. I promise you. Okay, because I gotta go. All right, listen to this. I found out you don't hear with your ears. Did you hear what I just said? You don't breathe with your lungs. Look it up. Right? You don't see with your eyes. See, that's just the external part. It's all done by your brain. So all these mechanisms that are in our food, in our water, in the air that I just showed you at the beginning of this podcast are being done simply to destroy our brain, to wear our brain out, right? Because once the brain is worn out in this body, we'll be evicted out of the body, right? We give up the ghost, like a lot of the older people used to say. I heard that when I was young. I didn't know what that meant. But giving up the ghost means they knew that mankind is a spirit. They have a soul. And they live in the body, right? So that body goes back down into the earth where it came from. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm out of here. You guys have a great week. Please be productive. Please answer those 5 questions and some of the homework that I gave you. Go back to my previous podcast. Please take some time out and open up that Bible. Open up other books to work on your personal self, to work on your people skills, to work on your learn about success principles. These are the things that I've done and to create just this last project. Earlier last year, as I said before, in 2 months, I'll make anywhere from 88,000 to 120,000. Okay, so in other words, as far as revenue wise, just in my area, I'm bringing in through one of the projects I did, just everything that I've taught over these last 6-7 months through the podcast, creating I've used those principles to help businesses create it'll probably be anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million in just 2 months, right? That's not to brag. It's because there's some tweakings that I had to make. I don't even know if that's a word, but I don't care. But there's some tweakings that had to be made in my mind. There's some strongholds that had to be broken down, okay? So if I can do it, you can do it, right? Okay? So you can do even better, and that's what I want. I want a group. I want an army of people that believe in themselves, that know who they are, that know what they can do, that know where they're from, that know why they're here, right? And they can teach their kids that, and they can teach their sphere of influence that, right? And guess what? You can create an army. You can create a community who don't give a rip about color, because we all come from one man, out of the Creator, and say, hey, you know what? We can make this place a better world. But first, we got to get this right. The most important real estate, the most important land on this planet is between our ears, the 6 inches between our ears. So you guys have a great evening. Take care. Talk to you guys next Tuesday, 7 p.m. YouTube. Let's go.